Hey there, back again with another build video. This time it's the Shivering Ward. This is a Warden tank build. It's based heavily on blocking. Okay, we'll get right into the character sheet. 38,800 max health, 17,000 max Magicka, 19,000 max stamina. This is with tristat food up, and we do use tristat food for this. So 1,100 magic recovery, 720 stamina recovery, 1,401 weapon damage with 19% weapon critical on our sword and board, but that's not important. We have a frost staff for a backhand here and 1,464 spell damage with 19% crit. But our resistances will be overcapped when we have our buff up here, which I'll show you. Alright, 34,000 spell resist and 33,900 physical resist. It's a little lower, 32,000 on our frost staff. Okay, so you can see we are using the Atronach for the extra Magicka recovery. Onto the gear, the most important part. Okay, our monster set is Swarm Mothers because we are going to block. This is just going to give us free pulls and extra stamina recovery. We could really use that. And all of these pieces are in sturdy, even the big ones. So our second set here is Frozen Watchers. Now this is going to give us max stam, max health, max stam, and then whenever we are blocking, we summon a blizzard around us. And this is really important to this build because we have a 15% chance to inflict chilled on enemies with this damage. So you'll see, it looks kind of like this. See that big circle around us there? Now that's going to damage all the enemies with frost damage, which is going to play into our other set here. And we do have 5 body pieces on this. All max health and chance. That's how we can reach this. And then the other one is Winterborn. Now Winterborn is going to give us max Magicka, magic recovery, spell damage, and whenever we deal frost damage, we have an 8% chance to summon an ice pillar that deals 7,700 frost damage to all enemies in a 3-meter radius. It also persists for 2 seconds and reduces the movement speed of all enemies within the radius by 60%. So you can see we're going to be slowing enemies by a lot, and we're going to be pulling them in while we're blocking, and we're going to be doing frost damage, which will proc more frost damage, which will proc more slowing. We kind of are like a black hole. We suck everything in and nothing gets out. Okay, so we do have 3 shield play enchantments here. The block cost reduction ones with Infused jewelry. This will let us block for a lot longer. These are the most important parts, even more so than sturdy. But for our front bar, we are using a Winterborn ice staff with an Infused trait on it with Crusher. Pretty important for a tank to have Crusher if they're ever going to debuff anything. And the 2-hand with Infused Crusher gives us that. Now we are able to block with Magicka when we're on our ice staff, which is mainly why we go with both kind of stats. So we can swap bars when we're low on one and regen the other resource. And then the other side has Winterborn one-hander with a shield. The shield is sturdy with max health. The sword is charged with an absorbed Magicka enchantment on it. Now charge doesn't seem like it's very used, but when it comes to chilled, we want to apply this as much as we possibly can. And this will actually help us to apply chilled with our Frozen Watcher set, because whenever an enemy is chilled, it will apply minor maim. And it will reduce their movement speed, obviously. Alright, let's take a look at the CP. We're going to start with the Steed here. 61 Ironclad, 29 Spell Shield, 51 Thick Skinned, 43 Elemental Defender and Hardy. This will give us Unchained, so whenever we break free, we reduce the cost of our next stamina ability used within 5 seconds by 80%. Very strong. And then in the Lord, we have 15 Quick Recovery, 28 Heavy Armor Focus. Over to the green tree here, 14 Bashing Focus, which can be moved to Warlord if you want. 76 Arcanist and Tenacity. This is our main source of recovery because we will heavy attack pretty often with this. I say pretty often, but it's not really that often. Okay, 23 Tumbling and 81 Shadow Ward for the block cost reduction. Also very important part of this, which it's nice that it also gives us the Treasure Hunter passive and the cost reduction of repairing, which as a tank, you know, you kind of repair a lot. Okay, so to the Apprentice, we have 43 in Blessed for the increased healing, 26 into Elfborn because we don't crit very much, and our sets can't critical because they're proc sets. 43 into Elemental Expert for the extra 10% damage, 44 in Spell Erosion. This will really help us penetrate since we don't have light armor on. Makes our things actually do some damage. 19 Staff Expert, 20 Master at Arms, which this Staff Expert can come out if you want. I just like to heavy attack to taunt when I'm on my Frost Staff bar, so the extra damage is kind of nice. But you can really put this into whatever. And then 75 into Thaumaturge. This also gives us the Exploiter passive, which whenever an enemy is set off balance, we do 10% extra damage. Alright. Now to the skills. Get all of your class passives. They are pretty important for this. We are using heavy armor, so get all of the heavy armor passives. Soul Magic if you have it. Just mainly get all your passives. The Undaunted passives, pretty important too. We are in Nord, if I didn't mention that. Now that'll give us immunity to chilled, gives us extra max health and cold resistance. Kind of fits with the theme of the build anyway. But we get 1500 max stamina, and this is probably the best passive right here. When you take damage, you gain 5 ultimate. It can occur once every 10 seconds. So while we're tanking, we're actually gaining 5 ultimate every 10 seconds. On top of what we gain normally, so our ultimate comes up pretty quickly. And then Rugged for the physical and spell resist. This makes us able to use a monster set that doesn't have resistances on it. So being a Nord is really great for tanking at the moment until they decide to change it again. Okay, so on our front bar here, we're using Winter's Revenge. This is in the Winter's Embrace here. It's the morph of Impaling Shards. Now this is going to do frost damage in the area and reduce their movement speed. It has a higher chance to apply chilled status effect, lasts for 12 seconds. One of our main ground AoEs. And then Blockade of Frost, which is in the Destruction Staff here. It's the morph of Wall of Elements. Now it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but what we're looking for is the Blockade of Frost reducing the movement speed and immobilizing chilled enemies. So whenever we have an enemy that's chilled and they're damaged by blockade, they will be immobilized. Fantastic. So we're going to want to keep this down almost all the time. Third ability here, Polar Wind. This is a percentage health heal. It does cost a lot of magic, but it will also heal another ally. So we do have some kind of group healing with this. It's pretty expensive, so you won't use it a whole lot, but it does heal for an additional 1,322 health every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. Okay, our fourth ability, Crystallized Slab. This is the morph of Crystallized Shield, and it will spin a shield of ice around us, absorbing up to 60,000 damage from 3 projectiles. And every time we absorb a projectile, we restore magic and launch an icy bolt back at the enemy, dealing frost damage. Okay, Blue Betty on this one. We are using Blue Betty. We end up using Magicka a lot more than we do stamina, so we really, it helps to counteract how much we're actually using, especially if you're healing a bunch or something. Now, if you don't really like to heal and you like to rely on your healer a whole lot, then you can go with the other morph of this that restores stamina. But I like the Blue Betty because it will remove a negative effect from you. It's our only source of purge on this. So whenever you get something that's really nasty, you can just take it right off. Okay. Ultimate here is Aggressive Horn. This is going to be what we're using for our group. This is for bosses, for things like that. You know, trials. You know, pretty classic here because it grants minor or major force, increasing critical damage by 15% for 9 seconds. Really increases group damage. Okay, onto the Sword and Shield bar here. Now this is our main bar that we're going to use. We're going to be on this all the time, blocking on this one, because the one hand and shield passives give us better block cost reduction and just basically better blocking skills in general. Okay, now our first ability here is Deceptive Predator. Now, we only have this slotted for the minor evasion, which reduces our damage from area attacks by 10%. And since we are at overcap resistances, and we have some other sources of damage reduction, we will take almost no damage from anything. It's crazy. Alright, second ability is our Taunt. Our main source of Taunt is Pierce Armor. Gives Major Fracture and Major Breach. reducing physical and spell resist. It also helps to increase group DPS by a lot. Third ability is our heal again. I like to have the heal on both bars, so I don't have to swap bars if I need to heal fast. Fourth ability, this one's pretty important. Absorb Magic. Now we can use this, and it's like a lesser version of the Crystallized Slab, which will only absorb one projectile, but it will also heal us for 16% of our max health. But the main reason we have this slotted is because of the other ability on this. While you have a shield equipped and this ability slotted, the amount of damage you can block is increased by 8%, and the cost of blocking is reduced by 8%. So stack that with all of our sturdy gear, our rings, we have an almost free block. Pretty cool. Okay, fifth ability is Ice Fortress. This is our source of major resolve and major ward, but it will also grant us minor protection, reducing our damage taken by 8%. And this will stack with CP, it stacks with everything, it's super strong. Okay, other ultimate here, since we don't have to double bar Warhorn, we can use this for big AoE pulls or, whatever you decide. You can even use it during bosses if there's a whole lot of group damage going on because of what it grants. Now this is the morph of Sleet Storm. So it will do damage around us and reduce the movement speed of enemies. But the main thing here is that it will grant you and nearby allies major protection while it's up, reducing your damage taken by 30%. And now it is a 200 cost ultimate, but since we're getting ultimate back pretty quickly, just by taking damage, just by blocking, just by being in combat, we can actually almost have this up, I'd say half of the time, pretty much. So we can have minor protection, major protection, minor evasion, and reduced cost and increased blocking. So while we're holding block down and doing damage, proccing our sets, we're taking almost no damage. Pretty cool. And the other thing is, while it's slotted, it grants you 8% max magic. One of the strongest ultimates in the game, I think. Just for utility, for tanking, really. Alright, that's it. Now if you're going to use a potion on this, I would recommend the tristat potions, just so you can recover all your resources and your health. And the passive recovery is fantastic. If you do that, you are going to want to put points into your medicinal use to make your potions last longer, so they will last longer than the duration. Now generally I don't really have to use potions because I can manage resources pretty well, and you'll be able to manage resources pretty well with this too. But if you feel the need to use them, then go right ahead. Alright, let's take a look at this here. We're in the Veteran Sunspire, so we're going to go kill some trash mobs. Well, we're not probably going to kill them, but we are going to go fight some. Show you what this thing can tank like. One of the cool things about Warden is that whenever we use a heal, we actually grant ourselves minor toughness. Whoop! So we get 10% extra health, so we're sitting at 41,700 after we heal ourselves. Put our buffs up. Alright. So you can see we're going to pull in all the enemies as we're blocking. Pretty strong. Once we get this last guy in here, we're just going to pop our ultimate right here. Northern Storm. As you can see, we're taking almost no damage. Our healing is pretty strong. See, if we pop down our AoEs, then you can see how much we're immobilizing all these guys. Just heal up every once in a while. Our Constitution passive gives us back a whole lot of resources while we're blocking, which is really nice. I almost considered using one of the Desert Rose or Black Rose sets, but this works out much better. So you can see it's not really a high DPS tank build here, but we do have a whole lot of CC and some, quite good tanking ability. This is with no healer. And our ultimate's back up. I haven't been watching it. Now if we do hit things, we will get resources back. Just give a heavy attack. Just pop our AoEs down, heal ourselves once, use our buffs. Thinking I'm gonna let them kill me because I don't actually want to fight all of these. But you can see it's actually pretty strong. Enough magic. Just give a heavy attack. And kill me already. Alright, there we go. Alright, now we're here at the mall. We're just gonna go fight some mobs that we can actually kill in a reasonable amount of time. This is Veteran again, so we'll just test it out on the trash mobs, and it seems like a pretty good place to actually test out these kind of builds because, you know, they hit pretty hard, there's quite a few of them. Their health isn't so high that they take absolutely forever to kill. We'll just go try this out. And you can see in the last fight that I didn't use a potion at all. If I were to actually be using potions, I wouldn't have to worry about heavy attacking at all. But I just wanted to show you without potions. Because I feel like they're kind of expensive, and it adds up over time. You gotta do a lot of farming to actually be able to sustain potions for every fight and everything you do, if you play a lot like I do. Okay, you can see, here we are. Throw up our block. Hey, we actually have our ultimate, so we'll just go ahead and use that. Block off of our magic for a little while if we want to let our stamina come back. Still doing frost damage to him because we do have this double bard. So we'll start throwing down our AoEs, just use a potion. So you can see here these things have almost 300,000 health. There's 2 mages and a bunch of melee guys. It's kind of brain dead way of tanking since I've been used to light armor tanking so much lately. You can just sit here and hold block and everything dies eventually. You know, if you are in a group, you're going to want to be using your pierce armor. So you can see we had almost no trouble at all. We barely even take health damage, and the little bit that we do, we can just use our polar winds for. And if you want to, you can always swap out your crystallized slab. I kind of like it, but you can swap it out for something like a living trellis here for more healing. So if you use that every time you take damage, you can heal yourself. Also quite strong. I just like the resource recovery and the absorbing projectiles because some of the mobs will hit quite hard with projectiles. If you've been taking it for a while, you'll notice that. Anyway, that's it. That's the whole video. Thank you guys for watching. If you can, just subscribe, give a like, comment. It really helps the videos to actually see more eyes. The YouTube algorithms really aren't in favor of smaller YouTubers. So anything that you guys say or or like will really help me quite a bit. Anyways, have a great day.